Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It is after the close, about 4:20 on April 1st, 2014. And I will resist doing an April Fool's joke during this video. Let me read this to you first. Before we take a look, the website and this video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the side or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. We're starting out here with an hourly chart, which I usually don't do for some reason. I usually like the 30-minute chart, but this is interesting to note what we saw happen today, kind of put in the context of this big dip down here in late January and early February, with now two attempts to get over 1884, and today's close slightly over 1884. Not by much, very slightly, but still, you know, for what it's worth, a show of some strength, to be sure. So here's the deal. Have you ever seen that optical illusion where they show you the cubes? I'll tell you what, hold on, I'll find it and I'll stick it in the video. Okay, the illusion goes like this. It's not really illusion, but it says, which way do these cubes face? And depending upon which way you think this light-colored face is receiving light from, you'll see it one way, or you may see it another way altogether. And this particular one is even more confusing because you've got different faces illuminated. But the gist of it is, depending upon what your predisposition is, what your assumption is, you'll see this differently. Two people may not see this the same at all. And the same goes for our chart. A bull would look at this and say we have an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We had two peaks, both of which occurred over the neckline, which is kind of fuzzy if you'll recall. It's this little gray area here. We had 1, 2, 3 nice bounces from this 1840 to 1850 range. The bull would say we broke out over the neckline and now we're consolidating, and we will break out over 1884 and head up for likely a move that should hit close to 1960. Okay. The bear could look at this and say, no, that's not what's going on, because I'm coming at it with the light coming from a completely different direction. A bear would say, and let's back out to a 2-hour chart, that we had a nice rally here, then a pretty significant sell-off. Now we're moving up and we're forming a triple top, which, when it breaks down, will take the markets down to at least 1800, and if this breaks, could even lead to the creation of a more major topping pattern. That's what a bear would say. We need to try to be objective. Okay, right here you can see, well, there was a kind of a triple top right there, and it led to a sell-off. However, here was kind of a pattern that looked a lot like a head and shoulders, and it just failed, and it actually led to the formation of a new all-time high back in near the end of the year and into January. So all I'm saying is, be aware of your predisposition. Be aware of, try to do the objective thing and say to yourself, okay, what can I see in the chart that is bearish? Play that role. Or what can I see in the chart that is bullish? And play that role. So let's zoom in now to a 30-minute, which is kind of what I like to do. You can see A nice move here, flirting with, and by the way, closing at an all-time high, 1885 and change, flirting with, I think, getting over this support in a technically significant manner. Right now, it's not extremely significant, okay? Well, it's not significant at all because we're over 1884 by about $1.50. So, still a nice move, a nice setup that I think we recognized pretty well. You'll remember over the weekend I had a question as to whether or not we would just head on up to 1884 or whether we would fall back and backtest this line first. And either way, I thought we would get to 1884, and we did it by way of the sudden move up. So this did play out right here as a bull flag. Now the question is, coming into tomorrow, do we get a continuation here? Is this little tiny peak above 1885 and change a harbinger of what may come tomorrow? Or was that just some people, maybe some shorts, covering out of fear of what may happen tomorrow? One other thing I want to show you is that this is kind of an interesting situation we've got, because when we made these the last two runs at 1884, this one right here looked like we had an inverted head and shoulders continuation pattern, but it failed. It did not reach our target of about 1908. Then we came back down, and guess what? We've made yet another inverted head and shoulders type pattern that broke out today. And hey, while we're at it, let's measure the depth. And it's almost the same depth as what we had back here, a little bit shallower. And with that breakout today, we would now be expecting, if we get over 1880s, if we really move over this line of resistance, then this little pattern right here, boom, 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 it would be another one of those little truncated right shoulders, would tell us to look for 1905, which I think is pretty nice. That would mean we have a small pattern that tells us we should get over the neckline of a slightly larger pattern, which would be this these two dips right here, and that pattern would be over in the 1920s. I believe we had that measured right here to about 1928. Of course, when we back out here, the more impressive target is up here, right around that 1957, 1958. Let's just call it the mid-1950s. So let's see if we continue to follow through, if we can get up above this 1884 line even with more gusto, with more commitment. And if we do, let's see if maybe all of these little patterns here start to set up a cascade of buying that will take us up to the 1950s. As I mentioned before, once we get above this line right here, we have this whole area underneath this line. This entire area is just free of any significant technical trend lines. So this is going to be real interesting to see what happens. So guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for your support. And let's see what happens the rest of this week. Take care.